Hey everybody, welcome to the Felicity Yarn Studio channel. If you're new here, my name is Zoe. This is my space where I like to share my making within the fiber arts. So that's mainly knitting and crochet and spinning, and I also dye yarn. If you need to find links to anything or show notes or timestamps, that will all be down below in the description box. And of course, if you are a returning viewer, a big welcome back. As always, I am so happy to have you guys here with me today to chat about my recent making. So it is Monday, November 30th. Tomorrow's December 1st. So that means we can all start breaking into our advent calendars finally. I don't know about you guys, but I am really itching to open the 2 calendars that I purchased this year. I have one other advent type thing that I will share in my acquisitions, but I have a few little announcements, housekeeping type things to take care of here at the top of the episode. I am doing my 400 subscriber giveaway. I'll put that at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Secondly, my sister, who is Naomi, she's the yarn curator. She and I are currently running a steek along or a make along. So if you are working on any projects where they involve steeks or cutting your knitting, feel free to enter using the hashtag steekalong2020 or join us on Ravelry. We have a joint Ravelry group called the Curated Felicity group. We are both going to be giving away some prizes, and I pulled these 2 skeins. They are non-superwash because, you know, I thought that was appropriate for the steek along. And actually, these are some of my natural dye experiments that I did last year, or plant-based dyeing. They are both dyed, well, they are first mordanted with alum. This one was dyed only with black beans. And then this one, you can kind of see the yellow undertones. I actually dyed it with some Christmas cactus blooms first, and it was a very, very pale yellow, like it almost didn't even look like anything had taken. But then I just put it in with the leftover black bean dye. So I think they're really pretty together. Kind of like that you get kind of the undertones of yellow and then some like periwinkle blues on that. So this is going to be my prize for the steek along. If you are participating, Naomi and I really haven't even discussed the logistics of how or what the criteria is going to be, so we'll figure that out. It is running through the end of the year, so you still have a little bit of time to get entered for that. I feel like I have one more thing that I'm forgetting up here at the top, but I don't remember what it is, and I'm just going to go ahead and move on because I have quite a bit to get to, and I'll just throw it in if it is relevant. So yes, I have whips, I have FOs, I have spinning, I have acquisitions. I have it all today for you folks. So I'll just go ahead and start with my first finished object, and that is this little baby blanket that I made for my niece, who is due to arrive in January, actually on my birthday. So I'm super excited for her to get here. So this is just a really simple kind of corner to corner blanket that I modified the Grandma's Favorite dishcloth pattern to make a rectangle shape. And I just kind of guesstimated on the size to make about a stroller or car seat size blanket. Since this is like a bulky weight yarn, I used Caron sprinkle cakes in the vanilla bean colorway. I think they call it sprinkle cakes because it has like a tweed in there. But yeah, I just kind of guesstimated and eyeballed it. I did choose to break the yarn so that I could make some of the longer rows close to equal thickness, the color sections, so they would be kind of close. So that's why I have some ends here that I need to snip. I just did the clasped weft join. If I try to say that too fast, it comes out a big garbled mess. But yeah, I just need to go in and snip those. So yeah, that's where I was on the last episode. And I just finished off that corner. I do still want to go out and pick up a ribbon for this. Mainly so that little baby fingers don't get stuck in the holes, in the eyelet holes here. But also just to make it look a little bit more finished. So this is the second knit that I have for my niece. I have one more thing in mind, and I'm actually going to cover that in acquisitions as well. For my second finished object, I finished Jason's socks. These are in Muststash yarns in the Bounty Hunter colorway. So the colorway is inspired by the character Boba Fett from the Star Wars series. This stitch marker is where I was last time. I did them toe up. So I finished the legs and the cuffs and the heels. I had kind of put these aside for a while. I've just had quite a few pairs of socks on the needles, but we started watching the new season of The Mandalorian, and I was like, I should probably go ahead and finish these. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how these turned out. They look a little bit big and loose on my blockers because I haven't blocked them yet. I think he's just gonna wear them now that I'm done. And also they are an 80 stitch sock, vanilla sock. I do mine 2 at a time, magic loop. Again, I did these toe up, so that makes them a little bit large for my sock blockers, but that's okay. I did opt to use the Bounty Hunter color for the heels just to get a little bit more of that green in there. And I used a West Yorkshire Spinners. I'm not sure the colorway name in this light gray. I feel like I use this for like all of my heels, toes, and cuffs. It's just a really versatile, nice light gray. So yes, I'm very happy that these are done. I know that he is happy to have another pair of socks in his sock drawer now that it is actually finally like cool enough that he can wear wool socks to work. Last time that I talked about these, I had mentioned that the first pair of socks that I knit for him, I found a hole in the foot. So it's kind of like on the side of the foot. And I think that our hamper, our wicker hamper, ate it. I have since found the liner for the hamper, so huzzah, no more socks are going to get eaten by the hamper. But I decided that it was a good excuse to finally buckle down and learn how to darn some socks. So I actually decided to darn this on the inside of the sock. I think that's gonna feel better when he's wearing it against his foot. A lot of the videos that I looked at darn on the outside of the sock. So I'm not sure if there's any one reason or another to do it one way or another. But I just kind of felt like that was going to be a little bit better. But I don't know, that's just what I went with. I have thought about maybe still darning over the outside here a little bit just to keep those ends from fraying, but I don't think they're going to go anywhere. Maybe I'll let them wear them 1 or 2 times and see how they do. But I don't know what I was so intimidated by as far as darning socks go. I actually really enjoyed it. It was kind of a nice, like, meditative experience, and it felt really good to mend something and to know that, you know, there was some salvaging and that there's still plenty of wear in these socks for him. So that is it for my knitting finished objects. A few weeks back I had talked about how much I enjoyed knitting my handspun socks, and I decided to go ahead and spin up the braid from Wound Up Fiber Arts in the Ghosting colorway, and I love how this turned out. It's really, really beautiful. I did another short forward traditional 3-ply spin, and this is, I believe it is a 90% superwash, 10% nylon blend. And it just turned out absolutely beautiful. When I opened up the braid, it was a lot more of these lavenders and light purpley gray colors. And I really love how they kind of play off of that rusty orange color. I finished spinning this actually a few weeks ago, and I finally set the twist last night, so it's a little bit damp still, but I'm very excited to cast these on and get some socks made up out of this braid or skein. It's a skein now, it's no longer a braid. I am kind of itching to get back on my wheel. once I finish this. I haven't really done any spinning since then. So as we are talking about hand spun socks, I'll go ahead and segue into my first whip here. And I cast on with the skein of Handspun that Naomi gave me a few years ago. This is a Polworth silk blend, and it's a really lovely, vibrant blue, purple, blurple blend. Wow, it looks really electric on the screen. It's not quite that bright in person, but it's bright, but it's not like glowing as it looks on the screen. This is probably closer to a DK like worsted weight yarn, and I had initially cast on just one sock at a time, and I was doing it cuff down. But I realized about 3/4 of the way through that sock, after I was already past the heel flap and gusset, that it was A, coming out way too big, and B, I wasn't doing a very good job at yarn management, and I was probably gonna wind up using too much yarn on the first sock to not have enough for the second sock. So I frogged that, and last night I decided to switch to a toe up construction, and I went down 2 needle sizes. Actually, I'm doing these on US size 2, which is making them a little bit dense, but I was using size 4, and they were feeling pretty loose and floppy. So yeah, I'm not sure how these are going to turn out. I think they'll be okay. I'd rather have them more dense than not, because that's going to help with the wear and tear of these over time. So yeah, I did go ahead and just split the skein into 2 balls, and this way I can just knit, and you know, when I'm out of yarn, I'm out of yarn. But I think I'm going to do a German short row heel on these, because I've only done it 1 or 2 other times, and I'd like to get some more practice on that. But I'm also not really sure how heel flap and gusset works from bottom up, toe up. I'm sure it's not that hard. I'd rather practice the German short row heel. So yes, I'm really loving working with the Handspun and making socks with these. I have a feeling they're going to wind up more as like house sock slipper type things, but that's okay. It is, again, getting pretty chilly here, so I like to keep a pair of socks on throughout the day. Fair warning, this is going to be a sock heavy episode. I probably should have put that at the top, but oh well. So up next, I have my Plumpkin Spice socks. Not a whole lot to write home about here. I did finally decide where I was going to put in the heel, and I'm just going to do an afterthought heel on these with the mini that goes with this sock set. And yeah, I'm really happy with how these are coming along. Again, they're just my usual 72 stitch vanilla sock. So I'm actually thinking that these are going to be a Christmas present for someone. So I really just need to kind of buckle down and knock out the foot of this sock and put in the heel and the toes. Again, nothing super exciting to talk about here, just some top-down vanilla 2 at a time magic loop socks. So the next pair of socks that I'm going to share with y'all have been rescued from my abandoned pile. I feel really, really bad because my niece requested mermaid socks 2 years ago for Christmas, and I never finished the first pair, the first attempt that I made at them. And of course, since then, her foot has grown. I made one sock twice now, and each time they turned out too small. So I've gone back, I've gone up a needle size, I went up a pattern size as well, and I am determined to get her mermaid socks this year. These are the Part of Your World socks. They are by Nicole of Woolfield Studios, and it's a really cute kind of slip stitch. So So I can't get too close without it blowing out. Maybe I'll try to put a picture on the screen, but it is a really sweet little slip stitch pattern that makes kind of that mermaid scale. And yeah, so I am chugging right along on these. I kind of figured that doing them 2 at a time would give me a lot less excuse to ignore them and abandon them, or at least to get taken down by second sock syndrome. So yeah, I'm just gonna do a little afterthought heel when I'm done with these. To be fair, I have given her another pair of socks since then, so I haven't completely abandoned her. But yes, the guilt trip is pretty strong this year to get her some socks. For the yarn, I'm using some of my own hand-dyed yarn. This is in my colorway Stardust. I have dyed some up recently, so there is some in the shop currently on the sock weight base. It's just a really pretty speckle with purples and blues and pinks. It's definitely one of my favorite colorways, and I think I don't remember if I let her pick this out or what, but yes, Stardust is available. Now, of course, that means that my other niece has also requested her own pair of mermaid socks. So I have started her pair as well. I've only gotten the cuffs done on this. And this is in another one of my colorways called Little Sister. And I have also dyed some of that up, and it is in the shop currently. This one has a bit of more of a range of colors as far as the speckles go, but lots of neons. Very, very pretty colorway. I really love this one. Also, so I was digging around my stash trying to figure out what I was gonna knit my younger niece's socks out of, and then I was like, duh, Zoe, you have the perfect colorway. So she really loves, you know, bright colors, so that's perfect. But yes, I got the cuff done on these. I was originally going to be really ambitious and try to do 4 socks on 1 set of needles. Yeah, I got through a couple rows of the cuff and I was just like, no, this is not going to work for me. I just need to knock 1 pair out and then knock the other pair out. So yeah, these are going to be my next main knit here, hopefully through the next few weeks to get these done by Christmas. I think that's it for socks. Actually, I guess I could have kind of shown this off in my finished objects segment, but it's not quite finished yet. So I mentioned up top that Naomi and I are running our Steek Along, and I finished my entire shawl. Yay! So it's knit in the round, so that's why it's kind of a weird shape, and I can't really show it off in all its glory right now. But the last time you guys saw this, I was up here at this section. I believe I just finished it, or maybe up here even. Anyway, I basically finished the rest of the shawl, and it's knit in the round, and then you steek up this back part. These will be the like wings of the shawl. So this is it, and folded in half essentially. That's probably a better representation. But I am so thrilled to be done knitting this shawl. I have spoken at length about how fiddly getting it started was, and how sometimes the pattern made sense and other times it was like, I don't know, it did not compute with my brain. I think that once I got past all of the overthinking though, and I just kind of buckled down and really just used the charts as guidance. I still kind of checked in with the written instructions every once in a while. But once I really just kind of let go of a little bit of control, it all really started to flow nicely for me. I will say that the rows at the very end, as with most shawls, got really long and really sloggy, and you're doing garter stitch in the round at the end here, so there were some really long purl rows. I will say I was bad, and I did not catch some of my floats here in these colorwork sections where there's like 8-9 stitches, but you know what, it's done. I'm not super worried about it. My tension seems to be really nice, and I kind of think over time they might felt together a little bit, so I don't know, I just have to kind of be a little bit thoughtful when I'm wearing this, I guess. I kind of just envision wearing it like with the point in the front. I have to say, this is most definitely a product knit for me. The process was, it was a process. But I'm really looking forward to having this shawl finished. I need to go and research and figure out what I need to do to prep my steeks. I haven't done any of that yet. I know somehow it involves a crochet chain or something. I'm going to learn that this week, and I think Naomi and I are going to try to schedule a live where we cut our knitting together. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to do that and see how that all goes. And I believe after you do the steeks, you kind of sew down this like edge here to give it like a nice finished edge and to hide all of your steek stitches, if I remember correctly. Confession time. I know that you're supposed to read through a whole pattern before you start knitting it, but I can't do that. I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. I need to take it bit by bit by bit and tackle things as I come to them. If I know that something is down the road, I'm always like preoccupied on it, and then I miss something for what I'm supposed to be doing now. So I don't know, I don't believe there are any hard and fast rules for knitting. I think that you need to do what works for you, and there's no such thing as the knitting police. They're not going to come and get you for reading a pattern incorrectly. So the final whip that I have to share with you guys is actually a crochet project, and I am doing the crochet version of the Northeasterly blanket. And the Northeasterly is originally a knitting pattern by Skenanigans where you make kind of these columns of chevron shapes, and then you join them as you go, adding each kind of column or strip. So I tried knitting the knit version of the pattern last year, and yeah, it just wasn't clicking. It wasn't doing it for me. It felt a little tedious, and I don't know, it just wasn't working for me. So a few months ago, I saw that there is a crochet version of it by Harbor Crochet. She actually worked with Ellie to develop this crochet version, and yeah, I'm really enjoying the crochet version a lot more. It is curling quite a bit, so that's supposed to work itself out the more kind of sections that you add along to it. And this end is a little bit wonky, but I think with blocking that should help out also. But I am holding fingering weight or sock weight yarn double, and also using some DK weight scraps with this. This is mostly scraps and or leftover partial skeins. I'm also using a few mini skeins from last year's advent calendar that I got from Toad Hollow Yarns, and I'll probably use some of the mini skeins that I get this year. So I'm not really sure how wide I want to make this. I might make it kind of large because I'm kind of feeling like I want a blanket that's a little bit bigger than the ones that I currently have for sitting on the couch with. So yeah, I just kind of stopped here because I wanted to kind of see how the colors were going to play together once I started adding a second row. I know that it's supposed to be scrappy and kind of random, and that is what I'm going for, but I'm also a little bit of a control freak when it comes to adding some colors in. This is actually my second attempt as well, because the first time I didn't quite have the right crochet hook. It was a little bit small and it was coming out quite dense. This is still a little bit dense, but it's not so bad. I'm actually okay with it being a little bit on the heavier side. My other thought was with this kind of odd edge here, the way that it's kind of shooping like that, I might go back and do an I-cord edging along the zigzag ends there when I'm done. But yes, I really love this palette that I've been pulling from. I kind of narrowed down some scraps. I took out some things that weren't really working color-wise, and I'm just gonna keep going. I have one bag, two bags, a third bag. and I have more downstairs. So I think that I have plenty to make a decent sized blanket. If not, I am always okay with putting something like this into hibernation for a little while I collect up a few more scraps. I have a few projects currently on the needles where the leftovers would work nicely with this. So no real rush, no real deadline on this. I am just kind of enjoying it as my in-between project, my mindless project. That being said, I do kind of want to expand some of my crochet skills. I can do very basic things like the single crochet. That is the thing of note. This is in UK terms. I know that you can request the pattern from the designer with US crochet terms, but I mean, it's really like one stitch the whole way. So I was like, I think I can remember what I'm supposed to do here. I did learn one new thing, and to all of you like super experienced crocheters, this is probably not going to be anything super exciting, but I learned how to do the foundation single crochet. I think, it was FSC, I think is how it was written in the pattern. So basically it's where you're making your foundation chain and your first row of stitches at the same time, and that was like mind-blowing to me. It really made casting on and getting started a whole lot easier, and I was like, oh well, I'm gonna use this for my next granny stripe blanket, because that has always been one of my complaints about the granny stripe blanket is your first row of foundation chains. Sometimes that looks a little bit wonky compared to the rest of the rows. So yeah, that was a really like light bulb moment for me. And I get to practice it a whole bunch more because that's how you start each row here. But yes, so I'm really loving this and I can't wait to see it grow some more. All right guys, so let's talk acquisitions. Up front, I wanted to share this super adorable stitch marker that I got from Wendy of House Label Fibers. And she is a yarn dyer in Scotland, and she also makes these really cute polymer clay stitch markers. So this is a tea cake, and like everything else Scottish, Naomi and I fell in love with these while we were over there. So when I saw that she listed these in her Etsy shop, I had to snag 2 of them for us. And yeah, I really wish I had the real thing as well because they are delicious. I mentioned earlier that I want to knit one more thing for my niece, and that is this Clara dress. So my actual acquisition is this copy of the physical pattern because it is based off of an old traditional German pattern, I believe, and you can only find it for print from certain yarn shops. I kind of had to dig through some comments on the pattern page on Ravelry to figure out where to purchase it. I got my copy from the yarn cupboard. The reason I decided to go ahead and purchase this pattern and make it, Naomi kept saying, oh, there's this really cute pattern, you should make it for your new niece. And I was like, oh, I'm already making her some stuff, you know. And she sent it to me, and I saw that the name was Clara, and that is the name of my niece to be. So I was like, well, it's kind of meant to be that I need to make her this little dress. So I think I'm going to use some of my colorway Pixie Dust. So yeah, since it is kind of a springy, summery dress, I don't feel a huge rush to get this done by like December or January, but I wanted to share this pattern with you guys. So the other thing that I teased earlier had to do with kind of some Advent knitting. And I purchased this skein from Malia Made It. It is a 12 color, 12 Days of Christmas self-striping sock yarn. So I'm not sure if you're supposed to knit like one stripe every day on each sock or one stripe every other day or what, I don't know. So it's either going to be I knit this self-striping sock yarn, it might be all that I can keep up with for Advent knitting this year, or I really want to do the Advent Socks 2019 from Natalie Sheldon that I featured on my last video. I have yarn already put aside and caked up for that as well, so we shall see. I have quite a bit of sock knitting for the month of December. I have one more acquisition to share with you guys, and I actually got sent by Naomi. She purchased a rather large acquisition off of someone from Facebook who was actually closer to me. They were about an hour and a half away. So I went and drove and picked up her purchase. I will let her share with you guys what that is on her channel. But while I was in the area, I decided to, of course, Google if there were any yarn shops. And I did find one. I was in Greenville, South Carolina, and I don't remember the name of the shop. I'll put it on the screen or down below in the show notes. But they did have some spinning things there, and I picked up this quite bright, prepare your eyes. So this is a 1 ounce silk hanky of 100% mulberry silk from Spotted Used Fiber. It is quite bright. It is like hunter fluorescent orange. I love my fluorescents. But I picked this up because Naomi and I have talked about doing a spin study or a breed study for 2021. I am still planning on getting 12 different sheep breeds and doing one each month. I kind of figured though to kind of change it up, or if I need to break 1 month to try something different, I would do this 100% silk. So it's kind of hard to tell, but there are like layers here. Oh, there, you can see them. And each one of those layers is one cocoon, silk cocoon. So I thought that was really interesting, and it's something that I have zero experience with, and I'm really looking forward to learning something new, kind of pushing myself with my spinning a little bit. I do know that the silk will spin fairly thin, so I don't know like what kind of yardage to expect out of this, but wow, it is super soft and super warm actually just holding this in my hand. This is gonna be a really fun thing to play with next year. So let me put this away before I like snag it on everything because my fingernail has already caught it once here. So that is it for acquisitions. I have been putting, again, some things into the shop. Stardust and Little Sister are there on sock yarn, and I also dyed up some vintage Christmas card on some sock yarn, so you guys should be able to find that. I am still going through some of my bins, and whenever I come across something random that for whatever reason never got listed, I'm throwing that up into the shop. Everything is 20% off through the end of the year. I don't remember what the shipping deadlines are in the US. I want to say like December 15th or 18th is the shipping deadline if you want to get it by Christmas through the postal service. Don't quote me on that. I will try to throw the information up on screen if I can find that for you. But just keep that in mind, either if you're shopping from my shop or any other shop, the postal system is definitely at capacity this year. So I suppose that leads us to the 400 subscriber giveaway. So as always, thank you all so much for joining me on this little journey. I am always thrilled to see this channel grow every little bit. I appreciate each and every one of you sticking around. Every time you like or comment or subscribe, you know, it really brightens my day. So I really can't wait to see where this channel goes in the future. And so to say thank you, I have pulled some of these mini skeins from the shop. They're all kind of one of a kind or one-offs. And I pulled a cute little yarn skein stitch marker to go with them. All right, so if you want to be entered to win this mini skein set and the stitch marker, make sure that you are subscribed, like the video, and I think I'm gonna do a little Ask Me Anything type of giveaway. To be entered to win, ask me a question down below. I will do my best to answer them in the next podcast episode, and that's where I will draw the winner from. So I'm really curious what you guys are gonna have to ask me, and I'm really looking forward to sending these out to someone. All right guys, thank you for joining me today. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. I will be back in 2 weeks with a new episode with some answers and the giveaway winner. I hope that you all are getting all of your Christmas knitting done, and I will see you again soon. Bye.